A warning from the United Nations as sectarian violence rages on in southern Syria despite a ceasefire declared by interim President Ahmed al-Sharaa. Druze fighters reportedly expelled Bedouin gunmen from the city of Shueda, but clashes persist across the province. More than 900 people have died, with atrocities reported on all sides. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio condemned the violence, while Israel struck Syrian targets in support of the Druze. The United Nations warns of grave human rights abuses and is calling for an immediate end to the bloodshed. It says the alleged perpetrators include security forces and individuals affiliated with the interim government, as well as Druze and Bedouin fighters. This comes as Christian communities in Syria continue to experience escalating violence. On July 15th, the historic St. Michael Church was vandalized and set ablaze in Shueda. Its altar was desecrated. In the same region, 38 Christian homes were reportedly destroyed, forcing dozens to seek shelter in a church hall. In a separate incident last month, at least 22 people were killed and 63 others injured in the attack that took place at the St. Elias Church located on the outskirts of Damascus. The Syrian Catholic Archbishop of Homs in Syria is calling for the protection of the Christian presence in the war-torn country. Despite the chaos, he says Jesus wants his church to remain in Syria. To discuss the dire situation for Christians in Syria, we are joined by Bishop François Beyrouti. He is the leader of the Melkite Greek Catholic Church in the United States, an Eastern rite that's in full communion with Rome and is headquartered in Damascus, Syria. Born in Lebanon, Bishop Beiruti has been leading the more than 20,000 Melkites in the U.S. since 2022. Your Excellency, thanks for being back with us. First, what are you hearing from Christian leaders on the ground in Syria amid this new wave of violence? And why are attacks against Christians in Syria especially concerning?
Thank you, Catherine, for welcoming me back on EWTN and for your voicing the concerns of the Christians in the Middle East and also throughout the world. What we are hearing is that the Christians there are fearful because they're living through a lot of uncertainty at this point. And there was hope with the transition to the new regime that perhaps there would be greater respect for the minorities, but perhaps that hope has been a little bit unrealistic because of the nature of the conflict that has been ongoing for several years. The Christian community remains, especially our Melkite Catholic community, that, as you mentioned, our patriarch is in Damascus, but we trace our ancient roots to Antioch, Acts chapter 11, where in Antioch the followers of Christ were first called Christians. So our communities there have been living there for 2,000 years, both providing spiritual but also social stability in the country.
You issued a pastoral letter following the attack on the St. Elias Greek Orthodox Church in Damascus in late June. How did you react when you heard about that attack, Your Excellency, and what is the message that you wanted to convey in this pastoral letter?
Two things. First, we hear things on the news and we're very shocked to hear, first of all, an explosion in a church or an attack on a church as people are worshiping. Second, for myself, there are very personal elements of this because we have parishioners here in the United States that have family members who died in the attack. And I was in Chicago that weekend or a few days after the attack, and I met personally with family members who had cousins and relatives who died in the attack, and then went back to Boston and had another memorial service, and in Los Angeles here had another memorial service. So it was not only just a news piece on the, but also very personal for us because we saw firsthand that real people and real lives were affected and lives that we knew. In one case, it was a young girl who was a medical student who was going to church to pray before her exams. And unfortunately, she did not walk out alive. And so the message that I sent was a message of hope that, first of all, the Christians there, the Catholic communities, the Melkite Catholic community and the Orthodox community are united in prayer. We belong to the same Patriarch of Antioch. We celebrate the same Byzantine liturgy. And so we have a common heritage with intermarriage in a variety of ways, not only in Damascus and other parts of the Middle East. So there is a common friendship that is there naturally. But also, we wanted to show that this wasn't just somebody who died by accident. They were specifically targeted because of their faith. And these situations when they happen, they aren't only attacking a church or a particular individual. They're sending a message of instability that they want people to have a sense of fear.
Your Excellency, I spoke with you last in late 2024 following the fall of the Assad regime in Syria. And as you mentioned at the time, there was optimism and hope about the path forward for Christianity. Can you just give us more context? What has happened between now and then?
I think sometimes we're a little naive that a country that has been destabilized and rebels have been able to operate without any kind of oversight or any kind of unity, societal unity, that all of a sudden with a new leader, regardless of how respected or disregarded he is,
Mm-hmm.
that all of a sudden that will change overnight.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big element that Western countries on a political front that to assist not only in like prayer for all of the Catholic communities, but on a
Mm-hmm.
political front to assist in creating a stable environment, whatever that means politically.
Is that what you'd like to see come from the Trump administration and helping to facilitate that peace and stability? President Trump met with Syria's new president, Ahmad al-Sharaa, during a visit to Saudi Arabia in what was considered a watershed moment back in May.
Yes, I would encourage all those not only in the Trump administration but also worldwide to see everyone as as a human and not just see a political angle to this. Yes, there are political angles of alliances and friendships and all sorts of things that we talk about with interest, international interests, but also never to forget that we are dealing with humans. We are dealing with fathers and mothers. We are dealing with children that are just like our own.
Finally, Pope Leo XIV, he expressed his closeness to the persecuted Christians in the region following the terrorist attack in Damascus. So while it is still early in his pontificate, it does seem that Pope Leo wants to be a peacemaker pope globally. Do you expect he will help to facilitate peace in Syria? And how might he do that?
Yes, thank you for that great question. I was very blessed to attend both the funeral of Pope Francis and also met Pope Leo only 5 days after his election. And we were very touched. He had a special audience with all the Eastern Catholic churches and expressed such close unity with all the churches, not only those who were there, but also recognize the historic nature of the Eastern Catholic churches. Pope Leo, he has made it very clear, not only on this front, but also on the question of Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
that the Vatican wants to be at the forefront of negotiations,
Mm-hmm.
wants to provide a forum for all world leaders to negotiate peace. And as we know, as Catholics, we always want to advocate for peace, not war, for stability, not instability, for truth, not violence.
Absolutely. Bishop François Beyrouti, thank you so much for your time. And we join our prayers with yours for our brothers and sisters in Syria. Thank you.